40 days to PMP and CAPM exam success. Day 32. Monitoring and controlling process group, processes 1 and 2. We will be talking about monitor and control project work and perform integrated change control, the first two processes in the monitoring and controlling process group. Take a look at where we are. See how far we've come, all the way from initiating, going through planning, 20 processes long, going through executing, 8 processes, and now in monitoring and controlling with 10 processes. But you know the good thing about monitoring and controlling? The good thing is there's lots of commonality in these processes. Our end goal is very similar. We are trying to keep the project on track, on budget, in scope, within quality requirements, according to the contract, and under control as far as risks are concerned. We're trying to prevent gold plating. Anything that will take the project off course is what we are against in this process group. For that reason, variance analysis, as well as variance and trend analysis, are tools and techniques to be aware of. Things such as performance reports and work performance information and work performance measurements should not be uncommon to you. These should be regular ITTOs in your mind in this particular process group. When you talk about work performance information from direct and managed project execution, understand that it is used in several processes in monitoring and controlling in order to control the relevant aspects of the project. So let's go into monitor and control project work and see what exactly this means for us as project managers. Now, the monitor and control project work process belongs to which knowledge area? Integration management, isn't it? Integration management processes, as you've probably realized, are used to do one thing. They are used to integrate other aspects of the project into a larger big picture view. So when you think about develop project management plan, what you are doing is integrating all of the processes that fall underneath it, all of those processes that produce subsidiary plans. You're integrating all of those processes to come out with a final project management plan, which is an aggregate sum of the baselines and the plans from those other processes. So think about integration as processes that help you integrate the project at various levels and across various aspects of the project. So monitor and control project work is all about the big picture view of integrating everything that is needed to effectively monitor and control the project as a whole. Let's take a look at that first slide one more time. So when you think about monitor and control project work, think about monitoring and controlling the project to ensure that scope is controlled, monitoring and controlling the project and integrating everything that has to do with schedule and cost and quality and scope and performance being reported, and monitoring and controlling risks, administering procurements. Think about this process as the integrator. The big word is integrator. Think about it as the integrator that enables you Hold everything down together. That is your major goal, your major objective here. Because you could ask yourself, then what am I doing in the other processes? In the other processes, you're doing what you need to do, but in this process, you are integrating all of those other processes. Let's take a look at the PMBOK guide. What does the PMBOK guide say we do in monitor and control project work? It says monitor and control project work is the process of tracking, reviewing, and regulating the progress to meet the performance objectives defined in the project management plan. Tracking, reviewing, and regulating. Monitoring is an aspect of project management performed through the project. Now take a look here. The monitor and control project work process is concerned with comparing actual project performance against a project management plan. In other words, comparing actuals to the baselines. Assessing performance to determine whether any corrective or preventive actions are indicated, and then recommending those actions as necessary. Identifying new risks, analyzing, tracking, and monitoring existing risks. And you ask yourself, but hey, wait a minute, this happens in other processes. Indeed it does. But in monitor and control project work, we are concerned with integrating all of these different things we do in the monitoring and controlling process group to meet the end goal of monitor and control project work. And that end goal, take a look one more time, is concerned with tracking, reviewing, and regulating the progress to meet the performance objectives defined in the project management plan. You'll ask yourself, well, hang on a second, which objectives? Baselines and subsidiary plans make up your project management plan. So your end game here is to make sure that at all levels, in all aspects of the project, time, cost, scope, quality, everything else, you are on track. That's your main objective, and you need to coordinate, manage, and integrate all concerned processes. That is really your end goal. Once you understand that, then we can move on. If you don't get that, then we have a problem, and it means you need to go back to the drawing board and read page 89 in the PMBOK guide. Okay? So take a look at monitoring and controlling as a process group. Look at all those processes. They need to be integrated. If schedule affects cost and scope are affected in some way, and quality is affected, all of those need to be managed in a coordinated way. So the PMBOK guide tries to sensitize you to the fact that monitoring and controlling is an integrative process. It's done all the way across. Monitoring and controlling the work as it is being performed. Constant tracking, reviewing, monitoring and controlling. Providing forecasts. Remember, in control costs, we predict earned value metrics and so on. EAC, ETC, forecasting, TCPI, stuff like that. We do it all within the monitoring and controlling process group, and we use the monitor and control project work process to integrate all concerned processes. Taking a look here, you can see all the processes that are primarily concerned in this process group. So when you think about monitor and control project work, think about integrating all of these processes together to do it in a coordinated, logical, coherent fashion. All of those processes are important. They all need to be integrated through monitor and control project work. Now that you've gotten that, let's move on. Hopefully you totally understand that. take a look at the major input to monitor and control project work. Major input, project management plan. What else? Performance reports. And of course we've got OPAs and EEFs, but your project management plan and your performance reports are really giving you lots of information that you need to drive this. So if you look at the baselines that exist in the project management plan and you see that things are not moving according to plan, take action. Performance reports tell you if things are moving according to plan. You're bouncing your performance reports against your baselines that exist in the project management plan. That's what this is all about. And if you need to take action and there needs to be any change requests, then you put in a change request. You send it to the CCB. Another very closely associated process is report performance. Why? Because this is where you get your performance reports. Taking a look, you can see your performance reports come out of here. Where do they go? Monitor and control project work. If you think about this a little bit further, you'll also realize that work performance measurements are inputs to performance reports, and these are work performance measurements from cost, schedule, and scope. In other words, control scope, control schedule, control costs, your budget forecasts, your work performance information from direct and managed project execution. All of those filter into your performance reports. Remember, it has lots of good information about how well we're progressing as far as scope, as far as schedule, as far as cost. And then you get your performance report, which is an input to monitor and control project work. In other words, the good information from your work performance measurements becomes an input to report performance. And moving a step back, performance reports become input to monitor and control project work. Once you understand that primarily what is going in here is information about how work is being performed, work performance measurements and work performance information all summarized in your performance reports is big when you are monitoring and controlling project work. So that said, let's move on ahead. Here are your inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs. It looks very lean, but do remember, performance reports are absolutely loaded. Lots of information in there, okay? Moving on to perform integrated change control. The perform integrated change control process is all about reviewing change requests and either approving or rejecting change requests. Now these approvals or rejections are documented in your change request status updates, which are entered into your change request log. So perform integrated change control is all about controlling project scope and changes through the timely review of change requests, approving and managing changes to deliverables, organizational process assets, project documents, the project management plan, you name it. If it needs to be controlled and it's on the project and it's a document or a deliverable, it must go through the CCB. Managing changes is big on the exam. For that reason, figure 4-11 should be studied and understood. Take a look at all of the inputs to perform integrated change control. Primarily, you've got change requests from so many processes. You've got your change requests going in, you've got change request status updates coming out, and those go to different processes for different reasons. And then you also have project document updates and project management plan updates. This is a pretty important table, so please take a look, read, understand. In Perform Integrated Change Control, change requests are being funneled in to Perform Integrated Change Control. Those change requests hopefully come with good information about how they impact the project. Those change requests are reviewed using expert judgment and change control meetings. The Change Control Board comes out with a change request status update, and that is an update to your change request. That update could either be positive in favor of your change request or negative. So that's the picture for Perform Integrated Change Control. Questions on the exam could be centered around how do you manage change? You're given a verbal request for a change. What do you do as a project manager? As the project manager, you are always responsible for taking the request, analyzing the request, and passing it through the right process, the right approach to managing the change. And that brings us to an end of our study today of the Monitoring and Controlling Process Group, Processes 1 and 2. For your homework tonight, be sure to read the details regarding both processes in the PMBOK guide. See you tomorrow. Stay mysticated and begin to ask yourself, when am I going to submit my application form to the PMI?